Hello and welcome. I've spent the all day on Microsoft Teams in court proceedings between Braz and Friendly Geordies. It was very, very interesting. Well, actually, it was very, very boring because there was a lot of going around in circles. If you think Uni Rock goes around in circles, there was lots of going around in circles. There's something named better. Is your name better now? Yes, John, Just Dom. Yes. Hello, Just Dom. Hello, Jenna. Hello, Will. Hello, the Fox. So, yes, I do have a funny story about Michael Brown. Not the Michael Brown, but there was a Michael Brown. So every time somebody entered the Microsoft Teams, it would say, so-and-so is in the waiting room. And we would just keep getting the message, Michael Brown is in the waiting room. And, of course, I suddenly thought of my Katie and that Michael Brown, but I'm assuming that's not that Michael Brown. I've said it's a KJ free zone tonight, but look, as usual, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So I am open to having a bit of a chat because everyone's caught onto the fact that Todd Chrisley is saying that he is suing her. There's some really bizarre stuff, like went on Unirock's channel and said, please don't talk about my son, but had her profile picture as her son as a baby. Work that out. So anyway, yes. So I called it a KJ free zone. No socks allowed, only slippers. I did say she would do something crazy. I did say that. I figured that. Yes, I knew that there would be something crazy going on. Did not disappoint. But as I said, I'm happy to talk a little bit, but I would prefer to have not a lot. So but I haven't heard anything officially, hello me more, as to whether or not Todd Chrisley has filed. But I know that people like Dustin Daly and Nick Schneider have all jumped on the bandwagon. And like, I think it was either Dustin or Nick that went two lawsuits in 1 year. Like, what else? Yeah, donate, especially if you want me to spend more time here. I'm thinking, wait, Joe's in lockdown. What else do you do? Yeah, I know. Apparently, according to my mother, I could clean the house. Oh, and I went, I'm not that bored. And Jenna is barefoot. Oh, I've got socks on my feet, unfortunately. I can't find my other slipper. So, yeah, that's no socks allowed. It was just sort of a bit of a play on words. I hope people get the gist of it. So I posted a video with everything that happened in court, and it's had more views in the last 2 hours than I've had for one of my live streams. So that's pretty amazing. But yeah, it was a big old day of big long words. And oh yes, I do know you were teasing. I would be happy to spend all day here if I was making adequate money. I'd talk to you all day if it would pay. Oh yeah, I have been cleaning my house. Found out how to. Wow. That's right. Well, yeah, that's right. Second week of lockdown. I'll wait till the 4th month. I think that might be New South Wales this year. Here's a question for you. One state has lost control of the virus, and it's a national emergency. Why? Why is it a national emergency? I know we're very much state. We have state loyalty here. You know, particularly the two largest states, Victoria and New South Wales. We have a love-hate relationship with the states. And, of course, Victoria's offering help to New South Wales. I think we're doing some of their contact tracing even. Like what happened with us when we're having 700, we got to 700 cases a day. They're not there yet, but they will be soon. So, yeah, there's lots to talk about. But, look, there's been another couple of articles that have updated since I posted my video on Friendly Geordies, so we can have a look at that. Friendly Geordies also posted a new video. This time he's going after the Premier of New South Wales. The other one of the things that they took exception to, Braz's side, was the video about the service. Yes, I know that technicality. Oh, hello, Osbel. We're just talking about your wonderful local member. Apparently, he pork barrels for his state, and he's not ashamed about it. I learned quite a few things, actually, from what his barrister said. His barrister said that you can lie but not commit perjury, and that's okay. So it's okay to lie as long as you don't commit perjury. and pork barreling demonstrated his love and care for his electorate, Osbel. So, you know, because Osbel is he's Osbel's local member. So there you go. He only pork barrels because he likes his electorate, and yes, that was interesting. But he can his barrister compared lying as a politician and committing perjury. She used the analogy of her parents lied to her about her goldfish, but that didn't mean that they committed perjury. And she related that what he said before a commission was like that. Pork Barilaro for his large, doesn't he like his state? Wow, I've seen lots of Twitter accounts saying that instead of being in defamation, he should be worried about Cindy's problems. Because I have no doubt there were phone calls taken today. There were phone calls made today. And in fact, one of the Barilaros was on the street. So, as I said, every time someone entered or joined, and quite often you'd see Barilaro. So he had someone was watching, or he was watching under a different name. But yeah, as I said, Michael Brown kept coming in, and I'm going, it's not that new Michael Brown. Well, see, Osbel, you got a new high school. You've just had a state election, haven't you? So anyway, oh dear. So this is Perth. So let's have a look. This is Perth now. Now I'm really interested how they've put this. This is funny. Well, it's not funny. It's I find the weirdest things amusing. So this is Perth now. Here he is, Osbel. You got an email from him. Wow. Is that stalking? Oh, not a problem, Robin. It was pretty boring. I did leave a couple of times. It's under crime. See, topics, crime. It's under crime. They've listed it under crime. Crime, not courts, crime. Then it says, entertainer, Friendly Geordie's application to suspend parts of a defamation case brought against him by New South Wales Minister John Barilaro. Remember, this is written by Perth, all right? You'll post it in Discord. So remember, this is written by Perth. So they've just said New South Wales Minister John Barilaro is shocking and unfair, the court was told. The Deputy Premier suing Jordan Shanks Markovina, known by the moniker Friendly Geordies, over 2 videos viewed over 1 million times. The New South Wales national leader, who is of Italian heritage, says the first video, titled Bruz, insinuated he was a corrupt conman and that he had conducted himself in committing perjury 9 times and that he should be jailed. The YouTube comedian wants to strike out the most serious imputations in the lawsuit as they arose under parliamentary privilege and have a partial stay ordered by the judge, the federal court was told on Friday. Barrister Sue Chrysanthou, SC, for Mr. Barilaro, said the motion was absolutely premature and only under extreme circumstances should be granted. When one talks about unfairness, a stay would be a shocking result, would result in shocking unfairness to my client. Ms. Chrysanthou disputed Mr. Barilaro had been under a legal binding oath when giving evidence before a parliamentary committee. The entire case about perjury is hopeless. It should not have been put in writing. Shanks Markovina's lawyer, he should be Dr. Matthew Collins, QC, argued they could not defend against what was said in Parliament unless privilege is waived. Mr. Barilaro has objected to the defence filed 4 days late, requiring Shanks Markovina to apply to the court for permission to admit it. But the case was delayed while Christo Lanka, who wrote much of the material in question, was arrested and prevented from speaking about it due to his bail conditions, Mr. Collins said. Now, when you actually look at the timeline of when he was served and when it was due, Christo got arrested in the middle of that, and so they had to fight that. So that part of their defence was, well, hang on, Christo couldn't talk about it because for risk of arrest. So they had to put the whole case on hold until they sorted out his bail conditions. So this cannot seriously be contended that any prejudices arose from the short delay. More than $1 million has been raised to fund the entertainer's legal battles. I'm sure he'd be thrilled to know he's an entertainer. With some to go towards Lanka's defence after he was charged with stalking Barilaro. Barilaro says friendly Geordies defamed him and subjected him to a vile racist attack in YouTube videos published in September and October 2020. In one video, the entertainer refers to Mr. Barilaro as a big, fat wog, you insert the word, a greasy Ned Kelly, and a con man to the core powered by spaghetti. The YouTuber admits those meanings were carried in a wider defence, pleading contextual truth, honest opinion, and justification. He is also pushing for a trial by jury, with his barrister arguing much of their case should not be read through a legal prism, but by how ordinary reasonable persons might understand. The use of the phrase corrupt con man was given as an example. Miss Chrysanthou previously called the defence defective and maintained much of it would not hold up. I feel pretty ordinary and I know what con man means, and so does everybody else. A con man is a fraudster, uses subterfuge. Of course, you have to use big words, not someone who voted for something and had a conflict of interest. Shanks Markovina denies Mr. Barilaro's reputation had been greatly injured. Justice Stephen Reyes said he would hand down his decision on the application at a later date. So now we just have to wait for the judge to hand down his decision. So this is whether the defence will be accepted, whether there'll be a stay on those, whether those matters that fall under parliamentary proceedings will be granted. So, but there was a part of the defence. I'm just looking at my notes. Was that 77% of Australians believed that people who pork should resign, and that most Australians believe that pork barrelling is corruption. So that was Dr. Collins's argument that for most people, the term pork barrelling means corruption. And so for Braz to say that he was pork Barilaro meant that he was admitting to corruption in some way. But as I said, his lawyer said that it was because he cared for his electorate and he was interested in getting the best for his electorate. So therefore, the term corrupt con man, the corrupt part comes from the pork barrelling. You would then argue about con man is where they. I mean, that's how specific and pedantic they are in courts over words, you know. So yeah, so that's that. Oh, how big a crime is permissible if he serves his district? I don't know, but I know his area is getting a new school. So that was that story. Then I already shared the other story from news.com.au, which Friendly Geordies took exception to, that the comedian needs help. So what has to happen is that the judge has to then order Barilaro to seek parliamentary privilege. So then it has to go to the New South Wales Upper House and be debated and argued and passed. His suburb. Is it really? It's in his suburb? No way. Really? Is the school in his suburb? Is that dodge? Like, is that bizarre? His suburb. Next thing you're going to tell me it's his next, that the school's going to be his next door neighbour. Oh, here we go. We've got something. Let's have a look. The Guardian's just released it. So let's see what the Guardian says. They've gone for the. Oh, wait. Yes, it's the daughter. Oh, it's the suburb his daughter lives in. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, that's right. So this is what the Guardian's reported. So for those of you that are coming in, this is the court case. Yes, the car parks are from the feds. What, the one they charged twice? Really? So they've got Barilaro's lawyers brush off pork barrelling statement in Friendly Geordie's defamation case. The New South Wales Deputy Premier's legal team has launched an attack on YouTube's defence, labelling that as rubbish. So it's really interesting to see how all the different... Yeah, is that the daughter that broke the law? Osbel is the is our person on the spot. So it says, John Barilaro boasting about pork barrelling government grants may be the wrong thing to do, but it does not show the New South Wales Deputy Premier is a corrupt con man, his lawyers have argued in court. So they admit that it may not be the right, it may be the wrong thing to do, but it doesn't show him as corrupt. Seriously? That's what they said. They said, yes, demonstrates his case for its election. It may prove disreputable conduct, but not a corrupt con man. And I would argue that the people of New South Wales may see that differently. On Friday, the federal court held a lengthy pre-trial hearing. Yeah, it went for hours. In the Deputy Premier's defamation case against the YouTube comedian Jordan Shanks. He's suing Shanks, who uses the non-deploying Friendly Geordies for defamation over videos posted on YouTube that the New South Wales National Leaders claims brought him into public disrepute, odium, ridicule, and contempt. The hearing had two elements. First, whether two key defamatory imputations at the centre of the Barilaro claim should be removed from the case, and whether swathes of Shanks' defence in the case should be struck out. On the latter point, Barilaro's high-profile defamation solicitor, Sue Chrysanthou, and remember, she is Porter's lawyer. That's just been. Remember, she's they're arguing over up to $500,000. By the way. Well, yes, that's right. ScoMo is the Prime Minister for New South Wales, and we do have a national disaster apparently. Anyway, look. So on the latter point, Barilaro's high-profile defamation solicitor Sue Chrysanthou SC, and who's probably going to need to pay $250,000 in legal fees, launched a wholesome attack on Shanks' case, labelling large sections of defence hopeless, rubbish, and saying parts of it should not have been written down. Shanks will plead in part truth in answer to Barilaro's claim in the videos portrayed him as a corrupt conman. As part of the defence, Shanks' legal team has raised the Deputy Premier's public statements about the expenditure of a $47 million regional arts grant, which was overwhelmingly spent in coalition seats. Well, my name is John Barilaro. Call me Pork Barilaro. I have no apology because at the end of the day, I will stand up and fight for our communities, Barilaro was quoted as saying in May last year. The defence also lists a list of other decisions, including $78,000, which was given to Monaro Panthers Football Club, where Barilaro was present for 8 years and whose coach was a former business partner, and a $39 million upgrade of a road in Oran, New South Wales, which the document claims benefited one of his properties. Now, the Justice Rares did say that he would need to have dates for the connections. So where it says he was president for 8 years. So His Honour wanted to know whether he was president at the time it happened, whether he'd been president, whether it was 6 years ago that he'd been president. He wanted to find out how close that connection was, because for His Honour, he wants the timeline to determine whether there was a conflict of interest. However, the upgrade to the road, which benefits one of his properties, was a better is easy to prove a conflict of interest. But Chrysanthou told the court on Friday that key elements of the YouTuber's defence were misconceived and failed to rise the defamatory imputations made by the Deputy Premier. None of them, Ms. Chrysanthou said, are capable of justifying the of a corrupt conman. On the pork barrelling, Chrysanthou argued that while people might think the practice is the wrong thing to do, it was incapable of showing he was a corrupt conman. There is no subterfuge, no dishonesty, no fraud, according to that particular. This is something my client openly and proudly does, she said. It doesn't fall in the notion of a corrupt conman. Similarly, the issue of the grant given to Monaro Panthers. Chrysanthou says, how does a conflict of interest show corrupt conman? So they may be able to. So she's admitting, she's sort of admitting that he possibly could have had a conflict of interest. So she's saying, how does a conflict of interest show corrupt conman? So she's admitting that there's a conflict of interest. So again, she's talking about the fact that he's probably guilty of some shady stuff, disreputable stuff. But that doesn't mean that he's a crooked conman. What we have here, Your Honour, is Mr. Shanks having a series of complaints about my client in relation to which my client has not sued, and putting those forward as particulars for lower imputations because they can't justify the words Shanks actually used. So Shanks has raised $1 million to fund his defence, as well as separate criminal charges laid against his producer, Christo Lanka, after Barilaro complained to the police the 21-year-old stalked and intimidated him. He intends to seek a jury trial for the case, incredibly rare in a federal matter. And on Friday, his barrister, Matthew Collins QC, flagged that intention by arguing the ordinary reasonable member of the public would interpret Barilaro's actions and whether they rose to the imputation of corrupt conman differently from barristers like himself, Chrysanthou, or Justice Reps. So we're getting back to this. So if you've got a jury trial, what you think is the definition of a corrupt conman might be different to what the public's thinking. So that's where Dr. Collins is going there. An ordinary Australian would think this sort of behaviour stinks to high heaven and ought to be disclosed, Collins said of the claims about Barilaro's grant to the football club. Chrysanthou responded later, I don't know about Collins and Your Honour, but I feel pretty ordinary and I know what conman is, and so does everyone else. It's an ordinary English word. A conman is not someone who voted for something and might have had a conflict of interest. So I hope Helen Dalton and all the other politicians are watching, because now we're going to have in court transcripts that he's got conflict of interests, that he's doing dodgy stuff. The other parts of Friday's pre-trial hearings relate to Shanks' attempt to have key elements of Barilaro's case struck because of arguing the claims for parliamentary privilege. In his claim, Barilaro alleges Shanks defamed him by suggesting he committed perjury 9 times and should be jailed. Shanks is attempting to mount a truth defence to the first imputation and a defence of honest opinion to the second. So honest opinion is because of the first. So the first defence is saying is truth, and because of that truth defence, we get an honest opinion. So so if you witness somebody robbing the bank, that's a fact. The fact is someone's robbed the bank. You can, in your opinion, that person should be in jail. So that is an honest opinion based on a fact. And so that's what they're doing there. So they're saying that the fact that he committed perjury 9 times is the truth defence, is a fact. The fact that he should be in jail is an honest opinion based on the true fact. Let me know if you're not getting this, and also let me know if I need to turn off slow-mo, because I know we all like to talk, and I can switch off slow mode. So, all right. It's only 30 seconds anyway. All right, so let's get back to this. And we've only got a small number here. People obviously don't like it being a KJ-free zone, but I'm quite happy about it. All right, so that's what that is. The basis of Shanks' mooted truth defence to the imputations relate to evidence that was given by Barilaro during a parliamentary hearing in 2018. The court heard Barilaro told the parliament he was not responsible for signing off on a $3.3 million investment in an oyster farm. At that time, Barilaro told the hearing that the funding decision was made at an arm's length government. He signed off on the decision. Oh, that's all right, Robin. All right. So, too much KJ. Well, that's right. So, and I'm trying to explain. Just trying to explain what the Guardian's written here with what happened in court. So, that's fine. So that's what I'm doing. So that's why they're saying it's a fact. The fact is he didn't tell the truth in the parliamentary hearing. That's the truth, and that's fact. And based on that fact, Shanks believes he should be in jail. I mean, this has a lot of repercussions, I think, because it means that journalists and YouTubers or anybody that has an opinion, if this is found, could be in real trouble in the end. So this is, in my view, could be a very vital landmark decision, really. I don't know that they realise the extent of it. But there's a lot at stake here. So, and particularly, it also bears in mind, what can you hold politicians to? Because if we know, because if it's been proven, obviously, in documents that Barilaro wasn't truthful in a parliamentary commission. Well, why hasn't anything been done about it? Why hasn't he been held to account? Why has that been swept under the carpet? All right, he might not be corrupt. But he's a liar. Although Justice Reyes did say, I did write it down, Justice Reyes did make a comment about that politicians seem to lie all the time. But, it's just, was the fact he wasn't telling the truth such a big deal, because politicians are known not to tell the truth all the time. But they should be. These are the people that are there to represent us, and they need to be truthful. See, I just lost 8 people. Bye. Oh dear. Anyway, so in his submissions to Justice Stephen Reyes, well, I think it also shows that there's no leadership in the coalition of New South Wales if you're allowed to get away with that. And one of the things is that once upon a time, if they were caught not telling the truth, they were kicked out. So in his submissions to Justice Stephen Reyes, Collins said Shanks was champing at the bit to prove the imputation that Barilaro had committed perjury 9 times, were a statement of fact and substantially true, but the parliamentary privilege meant he was unable to argue the case. I agree, Robin. They need to have integrity. How can you trust them if they don't have integrity? How can he deny? So he says, oh, no, I'm not responsible for signing off on the oyster farm, and yet that's his signature that appears on the document for the money. What, did his signature just mysteriously appear? In order to establish that the material is substantially true, we must establish the statements made in the hearing are false, he heard. That necessarily involves questioning or impeaching them. So he used the word impeaching a lot, that we need to impeach Barilaro. Shame they can't talk about the... Well, a good point, physics. It was at arm's length. The pen was at the end of his arm. True. So he wasn't telling a mistruth. It would require an act of parliament to revoke privilege, something Collins said his side had requested the Deputy Premier to arrange unsuccessfully. As a result, Collins argued the imputations should be struck out. So they're saying that if you're going to use parliamentary privilege to hide behind statements, then you can't sue them for defamation because you can't prove them. How can you prove that they're defamatory if you can't use the statements? Mr. Barilaro has pleaded 2 imputations which we cannot defend because of the existence of parliamentary privilege, he said. We say that is an abuse. In our submission, this proceeding, as far as it concerns those 2 imputations, must be stopped unless and until Mr. Shanks is allowed to rely on material that is subject to privilege. Justice Reyes reserved his decision. So essentially, we know that politicians all the time hide behind parliamentary privilege. And so the question is, can those statements sort that out? Sorry, is making comments on those statements, can you use stuff that's in Parliament and be sued for them, I guess, is at the end of the day. I'm assuming this will get kicked up the court chain I don't know what's going to happen to it, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be long and drawn out. I do think it's going to go. I know Shanks will be very. This is a bit like the tardy Katie Joy thing, because once all the evidence starts to come out, the behaviour of Bruz will start to unravel. So I wonder what point he's going to start to settle, because, as we saw with Porter, once all the evidence starts getting out, they don't want the public to see it. So what's everyone thinking about all of that? Hello, Keno. I didn't see you. Sorry, I saw you. I didn't just say hello. I didn't say hello to you when you came in. So what do you reckon? What's our thoughts on that? You know what? I'll switch this. I'll switch off slow mode, I think. I'll turn off slow mode so now you can go freely. Yay! Slow mode is off. Go! Go! You're free! This is what it feels to be free. Yeah. I don't know at what point. It was really interesting to see that there was Murdoch Media was there. So yeah, News Corp was there, Guardian was there. I think the ABC were there because you saw them all come in. Hello, Edward's mum. I apologise for taking your salami. What? So yeah, this is going to play out for a bit, I think. What a good ball. I realised the Olympics opening ceremony is on in Tokyo too. Confessions podcast on. Really? Cool. I have to have a listen. Jenna, do I have to put slow mo back on? Oh, dear me. I saw your videos on. Oh, thank you, Drispo. Konnichiwa, yes. Then realised not Ed's mum. Seriously, I'm not Ed's mum. Don't listen, I don't think I am. I've only given birth to 2 children. I better go. I haven't seen my son for a few days. Maybe I should go ask him what his name is. No, I have seen. I've heard him. We've spoken. I'm here. I'm just doing personal business. Can we see if Anna from Queensland is given the safety signal? Apparently, according to Tim Bailey, I've just refreshed my Twitter 39 seconds ago. Oh no, that's no good, Dom. Says Tim Bailey, opening ceremony. If it goes any slower, it'll run over Brisbane's closing. I love that. Hello, Queen of Catastrophe. Yay! Insomnia paid off. Yes. So we're having well, I've said it's a KJ free zone. We're just recharging our brain cells tonight, talking about other stuff. Just about anything, really. Hello, Cheap Glass. Oh, is it very slow plan to create? Oh, okay. They don't like to rush things, the Japanese, and I've had Japanese students stay with me, and my daughter went to Japan, and that was the one thing that she said. They just I mean, they're very productive, but Chrisley's confession, my head aiming, so I need to go back. Discuss. Yeah, the Chrisley confessions was quite good. So it's very slow. I did say any subject. Yes, I did. So what subject are we going on to now? Shame that Olympic thing happened to them, yeah. Oh. Unfortunately, the Great Barrier Reef has not been placed on the endangered list. UNESCO says breaking news: relentless federal government lobbying has once again seen UNESCO back away from placing the Great Barrier Reef on its endangered list, but climate experts are warning that this does not change the science. So that's no good. The Great Barrier Reef is not going to be saved. I tell you, what is wrong with our government? Oh dear. Oh no, that's a rhetorical question. Oh dear. Oh dear. You could ask Bros, but well, he might actually have me arrested for stalking. Hey, I wonder how many, if Osbel could walk past his office a few times, and it would be deemed as stalking. No, Dawn. Well, you're painting a door, are you? Nice. And then you've got Gladys. Gladys has declined help for army personnel to help tackle Sydney's coronavirus outbreak. Really? Uh-oh. Harder to stalk under lockdown? It is harder to stalk under lockdown. She might need a few weeks, yeah. Yeah. Yes, she might do. So, as you can see, I came with a whole bundle. I didn't realize the court was going to go so long. So by the time I had dinner and everything, it's like I went, oh, I gotta go live the 21st. Yeah, no. So to all our overseas friends, what's happening in your countries? She might need to watch Alias. Well, she did. Osbel did say that they're getting a new high school in the suburb that Bruz lives in. Nothing dodgy about that, eh? Oh dear. Yeah, the US is having a big spike. I think Florida. I saw Florida was having some trouble. It's the Delta. This Delta virus. It's this strain. You gave up on your politics. Oh, I'm not necessarily talking about politics. I'm talking about anything, Dom. Some states are going back into different phases of COVID lockdown again, says Jenna Sweet Tea. Yeah, I still maintain that the country's Australia is going to have to go back into lockdown at some stage. More cases in Florida this week than the entire country the previous week or something. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Florida had huge troubles. Yeah, that's what they're saying. And now where before you would be safe outdoors, now you're not safe outdoors because the sporting match was where they've called it a super spreader event. So, Revenge of the Florida. 15 seconds, yeah, it doesn't take long. I'm okay with lockdown. I just struggle when I actually have to start getting dressed and putting clothes back on. I know she did want all the vaccines. She wanted all the vaccines. She's not getting anyone. Oh, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when she said that she wanted all the vaccines. Oh, that would have been funny. Maybe she should have talked about. Well, but then, see, their health officer says, I don't know why people aren't taking up the AstraZeneca, because their GPs are telling them it's too dangerous, because that's what the research is showing. There's a 44-year-old man that died of a blood clot in South Australia that's been linked to AstraZeneca. Hello? Why would you go against professional medical advice? I don't know. That's what. So this is interesting. I've just seen this. I've actually just picked this up. Activewear Lorna Jane fined $5 million for claiming clothes could stop COVID spread. Company falsely claimed its antivirus activewear had been sprayed with a substance that protected people against pathogens. This is unbelievable. Lorna Jane has been fined $5 million and labelled predatory and exploitative by the federal court after the popular activewear brand falsely claimed its clothes could eliminate COVID-19 and stop it spreading. Wow! During the virus outbreak, the company claimed its antivirus activewear had been sprayed with a substance called LJ Shield, which protected people against pathogens. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. LJ Shield. Advertisements on the brand stores and Instagram use the tag cure for the spread of COVID-19. Lorna Jane thinks so. The Australian Competition Consumer Commission launched court action against Lorna Jane for allegedly making false and misleading claims. That's correct. I'd like to see that. In the decision this was today. I never saw this one. I was looking. I checked to see if there's any interesting stuff. In the decision delivered in the federal court on Friday, Justice Daryl Ranai said Lorna Jane sought to exploit fear and concern surrounding the deadly outbreak. The advertising campaign was conducted in July 2020 at a time of considerable uncertainty, fear, concern among the public about the consequences and spread of COVID-19. Hello, Princess Jax. Lorna Jane sought to exploit the fear and concern of the public through the use of misleading, deceptive, and untrue representations about the properties of LJ Shield activewear. Lorna Jane sought to profit from the fear with concerns of the public in a way that involves unlawful conduct in contravention of the relevant provisions of the Australian consumer law. The behaviour of Lorna Jane can only be described as exploitative, predatory, and potentially dangerous. Rangai said the court must impose a substantial penalty to reflect the conduct's seriousness and demonstrate exploitative conduct of this kind will not pay. He found the company had not been shown to actively profit from its conduct and said the $5 million fine agreed by both parties on the eve of the hearing was appropriate. So obviously they came to an agreement. He also ordered Lorna Jane pay the ACCC's costs of $370,000 and put a corrective notice on its website, social media, customer emails, and in stores about LJ's false claims. The ACCC chair, Rob Sims, so that's the Australian Consumer... what is it? The Australian Consumer Commission. So they make sure that all the companies obey the competition consumer law. The ACCC Chair Rod Sims said the $5 million penalty highlights the seriousness of Lorna Jane's conduct. Lorna Jane falsely promoted its LJ Shield activewear as eliminating or providing protection from COVID amidst growing numbers of COVID-19 cases in Australia. The whole marketing campaign was based on consumers' desire for greater protection against the global pandemic. In July last year, Lorna Jane copped an almost $40,000 fine from the Therapeutic Goods Administration for failing to seek correct approval for the ads. Action against the company director, Lorna Jane Clarkson, for being knowingly concerned in the conduct did not proceed. The company has apologised to customers, blaming suppliers for the error, of course. Suppliers. They sent it to us, we just sold it, right? A trusted supplier sold us a product that did not perform as promised, the CEO, Bill Clarkson, said. They led us to believe the technology behind LJ Shield was being sold elsewhere in Australia, the US, China, and Taiwan, and it was both an antibacterial and antiviral. Oh, no. Really? We believed we were passing on the benefits to our customers. Lorna Jane has 108 stores in Australia, plus several overseas, including the US and New Zealand. Really? They believed it? They led us to believe we were misled. Oh, dear. It wasn't us, Your Honour. It was them. So they got fined by the TGA for not having approval for the goods, and then they got fined by the ACCC for false and misleading advertising. Wow. Oh, wow. LJ Shield. Wouldn't that just make you buy it to know that LJ Shield covers you from COVID? I shouldn't make fun of it, but it's funny. It's like this is a KJ free zone. They had an LJ Shield. I know, it's a bit of a shock, isn't it? Okay, so so Croatia has just tightened its tighter controls. They've got some issues. So we've got it's about a plastic bag factory in San Francisco is limiting planned pay rises to unvaccinated workers to 1.5%, while those who have been vaccinated will receive a 3% rise. So some are actually giving incentives. So it says here Croatia's decided to tighten its controls. 6 athletes will spend 14 days in enforced quarantine after they tested positive to COVID. I saw something. Malaysia reports its highest ever COVID cases. Tokyo's had 1,359 new COVID cases. Philippines bans children from going out and also travel from Malaysia and Thailand. Indonesia reports a record death toll. That's pretty scary, isn't it? Oh, it's so sad. Oh, Indonesia has reported a record 1,566 COVID deaths, the country's highest daily toll to date. It recorded 49,071 new coronavirus infections. The latest figures bring the total deaths to 80,598 and the overall cases to 3 million. Isn't that so horrible? Look at all the look at them all. The grave sites. Oh, it's horrible. It says yesterday, Gemma, so there was this is struggling for work and food. In Indonesia's poorest suffer as COVID crisis. So let's have a look at this. This is the thing, and the same thing happened in India. A lot of people were dying, not because of COVID, but in India, but because of other issues. Oh, I need to of course. You need to register to I'll do it later. Meaning I won't do it. Yeah, a lot of people are dying in India, not because of the virus, but because of poverty. And so now we've got people in Indonesia. Restrictions on mobility introduced to stop the spread of the virus have been catastrophic for those living in poverty. And we've seen it in our countries. We've seen it in Australia. And I'm sure that you see it in the US, that those that live in poverty are the ones that struggle the most and suffer the most. So usually every Eid, Ricky would bring home a goat or beef from the nearby mosque. The meat had been donated by devotees and distributed to the poor, like Ricky's family, to celebrate the Islamic Day of Sacrifice. His mother would cook the goat meat satay for their lunch, and Ricky would sit next to his 3 younger siblings and they'd eat together. But this year is different. On Tuesday, the house was quiet. This was the first Eid they celebrated without their parents. Their mother died 8 months ago, and 2 months ago their father died, and now they're running out of money. The COVID pandemic and restrictions on mobility introduced to stop the spread of the virus have been catastrophic for the poorest in Indonesia. With little financial support available, families face an impossible decision: go out and find what work is available and risk dying from the virus, or die at home because you can no longer afford to survive. How horrible would that be to actually have to decide to go and find some work and risk death, or stay at home and risk death? It must be so horrifying for them. The head of my mitigation team at the Indonesian Medical Association likened Indonesia's COVID crisis to survival of the fittest. From the COVID task force, we know the current case fatality rate is 2.6%. That's a big number. If they're exposed to the virus infection, then there is Charles Darwin's theory. There is a natural selection of survival of the fittest. So if their immunity is good, healthy, they will survive. So the point is, don't get sick. So Ricky's parents died from medical conditions unrelated to COVID. As the oldest, Ricky took the role of his father to earn money for his siblings, but the emergency restrictions have made everything difficult. My brother and I usually work as porters at the electronics stores near here, but the restrictions began and the store closed. Because of financial reasons, Ricky and his brother only finished elementary school. He said he could usually get around about 79,000 rupee, or $5.40 a week, from working at the store. Not much, but he could buy food and books for his younger sister. Now they have lost that stable income. This week, President Joko Widodo announced emergency restrictions would be extended until July 25 due to the ongoing surge in COVID-19 transmissions. Almost accept that prevention measures are needed to slow the rate. Human rights activists fear that given the lack of financial support, this decision will make life even harder for the poorest and most vulnerable. The pandemic has pushed Indonesia's poverty rate up to 10.19%, the highest since March 2017. Last year, Statistic Indonesia recorded that the number of people living below the poverty line had reached 27.55 million in September 2020, up from 24.79 million a year earlier. Rich people can stay at their houses on their monthly income, but we have to go out and earn money every day. If we don't do it, then our family members who are healthy could get sick from starving. Look at that. They had a slow start, really, didn't they? Stay at home. Hello, Roy. Using mask, social distancing, all of these would not be working if we are starving. We don't live alone, have families, children to feed. The government uses myriad terms, period of public activity restrictions and large-scale social restrictions to avoid using the word lockdown. Many suspect the government does so to avoid having to provide greater social support, which is an obligation under British law on health quarantine. On social media, videos and pictures of officers forcing food sellers to close down their stalls have gone viral over the last few weeks. A food seller in Jakarta said that he argued with Jakarta Public Health agency officers several times. They asked him to close his food store due to restrictions. Told the officers I follow all the health protocols. I told them that if I close my store, how would I get money to feed my family? If I ever close mine today, I'll open again tomorrow. I don't care. I have money to earn. I can't rely on the government. So, yeah, we can't. And the fact is, the fact that it seems to be that the whole world is starting to struggle again because of Delta means that we can't be complacent. So, really? Oh, no, I've been here, Jakarta. I went there for a study tour. Across the nation, gender minority groups are also becoming more vulnerable, especially when their status intersects with poverty. On July 4, the body of Dina, a transgender woman, was found on her bed in Jakarta by a friend who had not heard from her for 3 days. Dina, 55, lived alone from COVID without getting any help. Raleigh Malay, a trans woman activist, said that they had to wait for 8 hours before an ambulance came to bring Dina to the cemetery. Dina usually sold roasted corn on the streets, but after emergency restrictions, she was struggling to make ends meet. Raleigh said since the beginning of the pandemic, 11 trans women have died from COVID. Their community did not receive social aid from the government because of administration reasons. Most of them do not have identification cards and do not come from Jakarta. They did not die because of COVID. They died because of poverty. They could not access food or medicines or help. Most of us are in a similar condition. There's nothing we have left to help each other. Ricky also relies on family and neighbours to survive. He walks around his neighbourhood asking for odd jobs. Sometimes I help them carry water to their houses, clean someone's motorcycles. Sometimes I can get 15,000 rupees a day, but sometimes I don't get anything at all. So there you go. It's really sad to hear. I mean, I know we complain about our life, but I couldn't imagine having to choose whether to go out and work and risk dying or stay at home and risk dying. So I couldn't imagine that. That is just horrifying. So that's Indonesia. So Indonesia's actually now overtaken India. So you can drive HIV and yeah. And for a lot of these communities, they have to get their water in. They get their water in from a well, so they don't actually have fresh, clean water either. So, hygiene can be a problem in some of the poverty places. So. I think the world does need to realise it's a global pandemic. I think so. I think we need to realise that it's a global pandemic, and I think because Australia's been very isolated, and let's face it, we have had a pretty good caveat. I'm not a medical expert. I just hang around them. It's all right. I'm not a law expert. I just read a lot. Oh dear me. That's not. Oh, there was for those of you in Australia, you would know the name James Ashby. There was a decision. He apparently had been suing the government. He commenced proceedings against the Commonwealth of Australia and the Minister for Finance. In relation to a refusal of his application for an active brace payment. And then involving, Peter Slipper. So it was heard. Anyway, this was the justice. So the balance of this proceeding be summarily dismissed. And then they're going to look at costs. So anyway, he's back in court. But didn't he work with Hanson? Pauline Hanson? James Ashby. I'm sure he was I'm sure he had a connection to Pauline Hanson. I can't remember. Maybe he's a touch gritty. I'm sure he was with that. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't. I'm just trying to think what he was. He was he had something to do with Parliament. I can't really remember. I'd have to actually read it to remind myself. So, I'm sorry this is a bit of a boring one for most of you. We Yes, he was. He was the president of the. He was this. Yes, he was part of the Pauline Hanson Society. That's right. Yes, he was. Yeah, and then he had a lawsuit over Peter Slipper. Yeah, he was the chief of staff. No, I love it. No, KJ, best ever. That's right, Tom. I know. Sometimes I just think that all this other stuff is boring, But anyway, if you like hearing about it, then I'm happy to keep talking about it. Apparently, somebody has asked whether have the Australian team been kidnapped or do we not go under the letter A anymore? Maybe we go anyway. And then someone says, well, actually, they said maybe they've put it on based of order on vaccination rates this year, so we'll be last. And Tim Bailey says, if you were to run the highlights of this Olympic opening ceremony, reckon it can't win the 100 metres, it'd struggle at 11 seconds. So it's apparently not doesn't seem to be going very well. You enjoy different. Okay, so everyone, in case people were wondering, I just the last comment was low, almost as low as Australia. Yes, it was, wasn't it? You know what? It'd be funny if it wasn't true. So Dustin Daly tweeted this. Yo, what the hell did she say? Todd Chrisley speaks on she who shall not be named. Emily D. Baker says this case doesn't seem to be filed yet based on his statements and the search of court records, but when it is. And then he warned her before and she shut up. Guess she felt brave to start talking about him again. So Emily D. Baker will be onto it if it is filed, just so that you all know. She who cannot be named. She who shall not be named. We can, and so can the rest of the developed world. Yeah. Yes, everyone can lie. Everyone can lie and laugh at this. Good riddance. Wow. It hasn't gone yet. The thing that really has bugged me the last 2 days, sorry, I'm going to get onto that topic. She's been in they've been in Uniroc's chat the last 2 days and starting arguments and all sorts of stuff, and it's like, and she was actually on the panel today. So this was what Nick Snyder wrote. He said, stopping by to say, here we go again, 2 lawsuits in 2021. Damn, WOACB official, you're going for a record. Oh, dear me, hey? How many can you have? It's quite funny, isn't it? It's been everybody else's reactions that I've liked rather than that. You love the sass. Yeah. I won't be on for much longer. I'm still feeling really terrible. So until I can see the doctor, the specialist, and I find out what's going on, I'm just going to have to. I just don't have a lot of energy at the moment, so I just sleeping a lot. So just going to see. And yeah, Todd did say he just wants to open up his guitar store. He doesn't really want to be dealing with all the garbage that's going on, but you know. Oh, do you have to pay? What? Do you have to pay for your vaccinations? Yeah, I'm sleeping more than what I should be doing. Actually, I don't like it. I think that I'm sleeping too much, but I'm sleeping. In fact, I see the ENT on Thursday, so I have an update for you on Thursday night. My Thursday. I said to my bedroom's been cold. Anyway, I decided to close the sliding door to the bathroom, and I went and said to my son, I said, "Oh, I just discovered what the problem is with my bathroom, with my bedroom." And he said, "What?" I said, "I closed the bathroom door, and now my bedroom's warm." And he goes, "It's taking you 12 months to work that out, because it's nearly 12 months to the day since we moved in." So yes, I've I've done it. So anyway, yes, I've not really been doing much at all. Yeah, I've been here nearly 12 months, and I've just realised Todd's guitar store will keep them afloat. Well, I did say it was a KJ free zone, so we could talk about Toad. We can talk about Toad. I must say, some of the guitars do look really nice. I don't know what they sound like when they're played, but they look nice. Some of them do look nice because I know there are some people that really like good guitars, good-looking guitars. It's all about the look for some people. But I can't play one, so. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I guess because it will be definitely very interesting to see how this all plays out. Oh, I don't like their uniforms. This is Team Australia. They're not socially distancing. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Rory. I don't know much about guitars, but they do look. As I said, they really do look nice. That's the Australian team. They socialise, though, yeah. Well, apparently the Australian team aren't allowed to socialise with anybody. Cool. Packing to go to the lake. Nice, Jenna. Sorry to the rest of the world. I haven't seen what the rest of the world looks like. I was only looking for Australia. You want me to say it, don't you? Von Art Guitars. And if you take the first letter of each of those words. Yes, I did. Hey, we need to get them in Parliament House. I think. Oh, cool! I'm glad you found a place. Let me just go into my Instagram. Cool, Dom. Yeah, we need to get those cardboard beds in Parliament House, in the prayer room, so they can't horizontally pray. And I shouldn't be laughing because it's. But that's apparently the prayer room. That's yeah, because that's what you go. That's what you go to the Olympics for, isn't it? Here you go. This is it. Von Art Guitars is spelled like this, and its account is made temporarily private because of trolls. As I said, they look quite like. There's some that looks quite nice. Von Art Guitars. Cool. That's his new tattoo. Oh, I'm not, have I? Oh, yeah, you're talking about in the name. Yes, correct. I thought, oh no, I haven't, have I? I thought I was really worried there for a minute. I thought, oh no. As I said, she had a picture of V as a baby as her profile picture when she went on to Unirot's channel and said, "Don't talk about my son." Hello. Uh, before the last court case, Rory. So when they first did their the first time they went to court, which was a few weeks ago. Let me look at my diary. It was it early July? 9th of July. He was there. He signed up. And then, yeah. But he was late. He was late on the case. The initial, when they tabled the truth, the whole defence and everything was written by the acting solicitors. I think he came on board late, and now he's headed up, and they're a bit more, because in my opinion, on the 9th of July, he looked like a rabbit in headlights, just trying to, late because so essentially they're saying that because of the bail conditions they were late because Krista was doing all the research. So now that he's on side, and Collins has actually written he was lecturing on defamation at the Melbourne University of Law for a while and has written a few of their journals on defamation. So they've got probably a good one. So, and Sue Chrysanthem's only an SC. He's a QC. She's only a senior counsel. He's a Queen's counsel. I guess he's more per hour too. Yeah. So he's written a few textbooks on defamation. So he's right up to it. Cop that, Sue. Oh, dear. It was interesting because when he was talking back to the judge, he'd say, "With all due respect, Your Honour. With all due respect, Your Honour. With all due respect, Your Honour." Yeah. No, that's what I'm going to keep up the coverage. As I said, as soon as because I can't get all the documents because it's not public interest, but the judgments and that are released. So as soon as I get that will be read out. I want to thank everybody that's watched has watched my video. I mean, that's had 898 views in 3 hours. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm pretty stoked with that. It's blowing my mind. So thank you to everybody. So, Mrs. Brown Boys, yes. Interesting. But I still makes her sound like an evil demon. They don't want to wake up. I just lost my train of thought there. I was going to say something and I can't remember. Cool. Oh, you liked I didn't comment though. Cool. No, that's good. Imagine if. Well, the thing is, no, that's all right. It's interesting because normally, I watched Christian Porter's defamation case, and then and then I watched the Porter and Chrysantheme cases because they were public interests. And so the camera would just pan to the person that was talking. So you never saw what the other person was doing. But when you're on Teams, like a Zoom, every interaction that you do is seen by everybody else. And so the times that she would roll her eyes was seen by everybody. And as I said, normally in court, you could probably roll your eyes and nobody would care. But I just noticed eye rolling, but I was just, when she was talking, I was watching Dr. Collins, and he just was just he just had poker face, no emotion. He would follow. He actually was reading along as she was reading out her submissions and stuff. But it was very much poker face. It was very, very interesting. But yeah, the eye rolling was quite hilarious. Well, and that's right. She probably thought nothing of it. If she's watched the video, she's going to go, "Oh no, I rolled." And it wasn't a criticism. It was just the fact that being on Teams, and remember they were on Teams from about 10. They started after 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. They had lunch, and then it was 2 o'clock to about 4 o'clock. So they had about 4 hours. They had about 4 hours on straight on with the camera on them. So yeah, well, I didn't know whether that was going to be like a petty observation or not, but yeah, she would eye roll and put her head in her hands, and when she didn't like the arguments, it was really interesting. Our vaccinations are free unless we go to a rapid test place. Oh, okay. Are your tests free too? Because all of our tests are free. I got vaccinated, so our federal vaccinations are done by GPs. Our state vaccinations are done in state vaccination centres. I got vaccinated by the state because I don't trust the feds with anything. Rapid, you didn't mean rabies. I read it as rapid, Jenna. I read it as rapid. I didn't read it as for what it was. Oh, dear me, that's funny. Oh, really? See, tallies are supposed to be really good. I don't know. I've seen guitarists drool over Telecasters. To me, it's a guitar. So Monday I have it's called reorientation for second semester in my last 3 months of uni for university, and it looks like we're going to have to start. Expression of interest. Oh, okay. It looks like we're going to have to start in lockdown. Start back at lockdown. So I have to start my last 12 weeks in lockdown. 12 weeks and then I've got a degree. Wow, that's pretty scary. Degree 1 will be crossed off. Still haven't decided on degree 2 yet. Still a toss up between law and teaching. Because my plan was to get my music degree, then get my teaching and become a teacher. But now I'm really interested in the law. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I mean, not many people can sit all day and watch a boring court case and take copious notes. I took notes. How many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of notes. I had 10 pages of notes. Oh dear. All right. Well, I do like it. It's just all that extra study and everything. But I really needed a few more hours of work. Really. We'll see. I might teach a few students in between and get some money in. But you never know what's going to happen. I don't know. I've got some time, but I know that there's a yeah, it was a big day. You got 2 pages of notes for the couple of hours you watch. It was very slow. It started off very slow, I have to admit. It was very slow. Very, very slow. And then it picked up. But they ran out of time. That's why His Honour just said he was going to reserve his judgment for another day. Oh, cool. Thank you, Rory. Well, I try to be, and that's why, I've said this is very much the notes that I took, and then read a couple. I like to show the newspaper articles that I get as well, and I've talked about. I'll put the articles in here, but there's Perth Now and The Guardian have also written articles, so I've done those as well. So I'll put those in the description. So thank you all for joining me. I'll be on tomorrow. I've got to do some filming for church, so I'll be doing church again on Sunday. It'll be on the YouTube channel again, 10:30 on Sunday. For those of you that want to join me, so I actually have to present my. I have to actually pretty myself up for church. So anyway, Rory, I have a whole playlist on the whole lawsuit as we've gone through. I've also been following the Porter case, the Porter lawsuit as well, and the Dyer and Chrysanthi one. Ben Robert Smith just took. That's just gone in a whole other direction. That's just too big for me. So thank you all. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. So, I'm hoping to get some good sleep again tonight. That's the thing. I found that when I'm not feeling very well, I actually have better sleep. So I've got my nighttime pills, and I'll probably sleep well again tonight. So thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you all later. Yes, we did touch on a little bit of KJ, but not too much. But we will see what she gets up to tomorrow. Catch her. Bye.